How's it going, everyone? What's going on? It's Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. I appreciate you guys joining me. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. Coming to you on November 21st. Can I get a roll tide inside the comment box? You got Alabama taking on the Auburn Tigers this week at Jordan-Hare Stadium. I can't wait to talk about the Iron Bowl. And today, I want you to call in and give me your score prediction. We'll talk Alabama versus Auburn this coming weekend. I also want to get your take on Michigan taking Ohio State. And I think when you look to that game, it's going to have so many implications into this college football playoff talk that we've been having. So today, let's talk the Iron Bowl. Let's talk some predictions and some score, possibilities. Let's talk keys to the game. And then let's talk this Michigan-Ohio State game. So I also wanted to throw up a couple graphics today just to show you Alabama's offense at a glance. And what I mean by that is a scholarship distribution chart. I went through and added quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and offensive line. Didn't have a chance to get tight ends. I will add that, and then we'll add the defense going forward. I think it's kind of the time of year when we start to look at the depth chart and from a larger glance. You know, you have a big season coming up with the transfer portal and all this stuff. So I think it's kind of a time when we start to look back and see where we're at from that vantage point. Now, these are updated odds from BetGM, okay? And I'll get to my callers in just a minute. So check this out. This is so important. All right, so these are fresh. These are brand new. This is per BetGM, MGM. So check this out. They now have Georgia at plus 225. Basically telling you these are like the national championship winner odds. So you have Georgia at the number one spot. Maybe we just, like I said yesterday, maybe we just have Vegas seed the teams, right? So you have Georgia plus 225. You have Michigan at plus 275, Ohio State at plus 500. And of course, those two teams play this weekend. And then you have Alabama at plus 700. And then you have Oregon at plus 700, Washington at plus 1200, Texas at plus 1400. And now Florida State, who was yesterday, they had plus 2500. They have dropped even further down to 3300. So it shows you right now we're focusing on those teams on the left along with that Oregon team that's red hot, and you have Washington. And of course, those two teams play not this weekend but next weekend, just as Alabama and Georgia will play next weekend in Atlanta. So we're about to go nuclear on the college football playoff ride, and it's going to be fun to check out. I did drop a couple resumes, and we haven't looked at Georgia's, and I know there's a lot of Georgia fans in there. So, okay, so you want to see how good this Georgia team is? How is this team not number one? I guess probably because they didn't have those two wins that they were looking for. But look at Georgia's resume right now, all right? This team is red hot as well, okay? 11-game winning streak, the two-time defending champ. We know that. Number 5 scoring defense, number 5 scoring offense, points per game, 40.4, points allowed per game, 15.09. Beat number 13 Ole Miss, beat number 18 Tennessee, also beat Missouri as well. The number 4 total offense, number 9 total defense, number 1 in the country on third down conversions, number 53 strength of schedule. That's kind of really their only blemish because they really didn't play anybody till this back 3-game gauntlet that they went on with Missouri, Ole Miss, and Tennessee. Still have to play Alabama in the SEC title. And, of course, today the fresh odds are 225 to win the college football championship. You also have another team that we really haven't looked at yet in terms of kind of the resume is Ohio State. Now, look, Ohio State, I think they have elite weapons on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, clearly, Marvin Harrison Jr. is a fantastic football player, and I think the quarterback is spinning the football really well. 11-game win streak, 11-0 overall, 8-0 in the Big Ten, beat number 12 Penn State, beat number 19 Notre Dame, and take on number 3 Michigan next. Number 35 total offense, number 3 total defense, number 51 strength of schedule on Power Guru, And as I mentioned, they have elite weapons all over the offensive side of the ball and plus 500 odds to win college football titles. So Ohio State, right up there, and they have a big game this weekend taking on Michigan. So with that said, just wanted to kind of, throw that out there. What's up, Jackie White? I see you inside the comment box. Andrew Kennedy Carr, Conversational Podcast. Thanks for joining us. Dustin, what's up? Andrew, I see you inside the comment box. Javion, good morning to you. I appreciate everybody inside the comment box. Lila is saying, I know what you're saying. Let's go, Todd. Okay, before I get to my calls, all right, let's run through this real quick because I was thinking about looking at kind of the depth chart going forward and the scholarship distribution charts. I think it's fun to look at. So here's Alabama from a quarterback perspective. And I have this for the running backs, the receivers, and the offensive line. So put this full screen for you guys so you could check this out. So right now, these are the Alabama quarterbacks that are on the roster. So you have seniors, there's none. Juniors, there's none. Jalen Milroe, who's a redshirt. Tyler Buckner, who's a redshirt. You have Ty Simpson, who's a redshirt freshman. Dylan Lonergan and Eli Holsting. And then you have Julian Sayin, who is the incoming 5-star commitment. So there's everything from the quarterback perspective. What stands out to you? And what stands out to me is the fact that this is a young quarterback room, and I have a strong feeling that Milroe's coming back for the 2024 season. So you start to look at the quarterbacks, that you have on the roster and guys that can move in and move out. There's some ultra talented younger quarterbacks in this room and still not even in this room yet, as you have Julian Sayin still. He's committed right now, still has to sign the official paperwork. But, as you can see with the quarterbacks, here are the running backs. You have 2 upperclassmen. You still don't have a commitment from that class of 2024. I'm sure that'll change. But when you look to the seniors on this team, Jace and Roydell, no juniors. And then you have your sophomore, Jam Miller. Your freshman is Justice Haynes and Richard Young. Another young group. This group next year is going to be ultra dynamic. Because now you have Jam Miller as a junior, and then the younger guys, Justice Haynes and Richard Young. That running back group next year is going to be just. I would imagine that running back group next year is better than the running backs this year. And I think these guys have definitely done a great job being serviceable. None of them. Jason Roydell, they're not like breakout type guys. I think they've done a fine job while they've been in Alabama, but there's a different level of running backs that we've seen in the past, and nothing wrong with Jason Roydell at all. These guys could very well carry Alabama to a national title game. I just think with Justice and Jam and Richard, that is an ultra talented group coming up in the back end. All right, let's look at the wide receivers. Hang tight on my calls. I'll get to you guys in just a second. The receiver room, there's a lot of names, and look at so again, it's like this team, and someone, when I talk about the youth of this team, someone's like, you're making excuses because they're not performing, whatever. No, like these are these are facts right here. These are the guys, like, this is how it shakes out. I didn't make this up. This is facts. So you have your senior is Jermaine Burton. It's amazing to think that Ja'Cory Brooks is just a junior, right? Malik Benson, also junior. Your sophomores, Kendrick Law, Isaiah Bond, Kobe Prentice, Emmanuel Henderson. All those guys are sophomores. Shaz Preston, redshirt freshman, and then Jalen Hill, Jaron Hamilton, Cole Adams, those guys are freshmen. You have Amari Jefferson and Rico Scott as your prospects. Wow, just really incredible. And then we have, let's see, and I'll go to the offensive line as well. Let's look at this. And again, it's like, you're like, yeah, they're young. So you have Darian Dalcourt, who will be gone. I think Seth can come back if he wanted to. That's going to be one name to really watch. You have J.C. Latham, who, of course, will go to the NFL. And then everybody always asks about, what happened to the Twins? And the Twins mean, I could probably do a video and take calls on the Twins. So Tommy Brockemeyer was a heavily touted 5-star offensive tackle. Came here, things didn't shake out for him, wasn't able to crack the field, so he transferred. Believe he's at TCU. No, did he go back to Texas or TCU? Someone help me out in the comment box. Either way, he transferred out. And then you had James Brockemeyer. He stayed at Alabama, and he's kind of been, I guess he's, one of the backup centers right here at Alabama. And then you have DJ Ferguson, you have Jaden Roberts, and you have Tyler Booker, who is a true sophomore. Your freshman, there you go. Hattie Mae says TCU. Jackie White says TCU. Thank you so much. I thought that, but the family being from Texas, I got confused. But TCU, along with JoJo Earl and Trey Sanders, a lot of guys went from Bama to TCU. And then the freshmen, you have Elijah Pritchett, who's a redshirt freshman. Then you have Wilcom Formby, Miles McVeigh, Proctor Olasaline, and Rock Montgomery. I mean, the group is so young. And then you have your commits Casey Poe, Will Sanders, and Ionita. So that's kind of a glance at the offensive line. So I think my biggest takeaway when you look at the offense, and we'll do the defense as well, maybe tomorrow, is the fact that these guys are so young. It's a very young team, and I'm really excited to see kind of, how this team not only finishes out the year, because that's what we're here to talk about, but also, how these guys emerge in the back end. With that said, let's take some calls, and let's get the party started. We got a 601, and let's do it right now. Hey, here on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Good morning, Kyle. It's Jake Pensacola, currently in Kentucky right now.
What's up, Jay? I appreciate you, man. How you doing? I appreciate you calling, man.
I can't complain. How are you today?
I'm doing great, man. Off to a really good start, and just eager to talk about this Iron Bowl. First of all, let's get your let's just jump right into it, man. Give me your score prediction for the Iron Bowl this weekend.
I'm gonna go 42 to 20.
42-20. Okay. 42-20. So I was listening to Hugh Freeze, his press conference from Monday. So he opens up and he was talking about the fact that he was so disappointed and embarrassed about what transpired against New Mexico State. And then, of course, we're listening to Coach Saban, and he's talking about, it doesn't matter, what has happened. The Iron Bowl is always a difficult game, blah, blah. And that Hugh Freeze has been, think about it. Hugh Freeze has beat Nick Saban twice. But with that said, Hugh Freeze said that they have to be able to establish a running game against Alabama. And nobody has been able to do that. So that has to be part of their game plan, of course. But when you look to the teams that have tried to run on Alabama, like a Tennessee, maybe a Texas A&M or Mississippi State. I mean, you just haven't been able to do that. I think it's going to be very challenging for Auburn to do that. Of course, they want to take the sails out of Alabama's offense, but no, I get it, man. So okay, so I like the score prediction. What do you like about Alabama going into this game, Jay?
I like the mindset of them being focused, of not worrying about Georgia right now, and I like the response of Jalen Miro when they try to ask him about Georgia, and he said focus on the task at hand. And I seen an interview on some what they call it, the Big Dogs or whatever. Mm-hmm. They interviewed Tyler Booker, mm-hmm. and they were asking about how better the offensive line for getting. And they would ask him about Jalen Miro and he said it makes it easier that Jalen Miro reads again quicker, like versus having to protect him for 3 seconds versus mm-hmm. 8 seconds. Mm-hmm. And so it makes it easier. And Tyler Booker also said by him stepping up in the pocket, it helps them out as well too. Mm-hmm. So I want to see Jalen Miro. I'm glad to see his progression and him being able to step up in the pocket, him being able to make his read quicker, because I think that makes the offensive line gel together mm-hmm. and makes the offensive line better. So I mean, I like the mindset of this team that they have right now, and defense, of course, lights out. And my only concern is Tristan Marshall. Like it's mm-hmm. our only concern, but besides that, everybody else is. I feel it's going to be a dominant game, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think when you look to this Iron Bowl, one of the things that really stands out to me is Alabama's mentality going into this game. So, and I say that because Malachi Moore, talking about the 24-hour rule yesterday, he was asked, did you start 24 hours to celebrate the Chattanooga win? He's like, no, I dove right into the film, watched the game against New Mexico State, because these guys know, and this is, I guess this is ironic in a sense. Like, this team wouldn't be this team if they didn't lose in week 2. Like, they almost had to lose in week 2 to achieve this greatness that they're chasing after, right? It humbled them. The game against South Florida. I mean, that's why I'm saying is like, this is all part of Coach Saban's master plan. And I mean, a lot of people have been talking about that it's too little, too late. And there's been some callers that have said, look, what Alabama is doing is great, but they're basically, people are still living off, the first 3 weeks of the season. But the mentality of this team has been great. I mean, even talking with, Milroe yesterday, he seemed a little bit more focused. And I mean, not that he's ever been not focused. His demeanor was, I have to improve, and look at what I did against Chattanooga to be able to take that into this Auburn game. And they've done a really great job kind of avoiding the rat poison. And I think it's because they were really humbled as a team in week 2. So carrying that mindset going into Auburn, and I know that they're like a 14.5 point favorite to beat the Tigers, and whatever's happening at the barn. Regardless, playing on the road against an SEC opponent is going to present a ton of challenges. This rivalry game is going to be challenging. This environment is going to be challenging. This is Auburn's Super Bowl. They've clearly been prepping for Alabama for 2-3 weeks. I mean, even one of Auburn's I think it was a defender after the game. He's like, look, we overlooked these guys. We're looking to the next game. So when you do that, you fall into that trap, and Alabama cannot fall into that trap and be thinking about the next game, which is the Georgia Bulldogs, right? That game will come. These games will come. But this game up next is an elimination game against a team that you can't overlook, because we all know things go strange, down at the barn. Okay, Jay, before I move to my next caller, man, give me a quick take on Michigan and Ohio State, and who do you like in that game?
To be honest, I like Ohio State,
Mm-hmm.
but I think Michigan has a lot of they had their best against the wall,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like they're going to prevail. It's going to be 3 years straight, and I feel like they're going to take the win. I mean, I don't. Yeah, I give Michigan. I give Michigan actually because I feel like it'll be a repeat of last year, and they might beat them by 20 like they did last year, which I don't understand. I mean, I understand the head-to-head thing or whatever case may be, but I just feel like they're gonna win, and we need Texas to lose, and we're gonna be in. So I have a different opinion about that. I'll talk about it tomorrow. I did have a different take on versus how it happened last year. They beat them by 20, but yet we had 2 losses, but combined scores of 4, but yet Ohio State team that got dominated and got beat by 20 still made it before us. But that's committee for you. So I feel like we're going to get in. We need chaos like we did last week between Texas. So if Texas loses and we win out our games in the SEC championship, we're gonna get it.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate you leading out the show, man. Take care, and we'll catch up with you next time.
Have a good day. Roll Tide.
All right, man. Take it easy. All right, roll Tide to you. All right, we got an 859 coming up next. Also, calling line is open, wide open, 205-850-1994. I appreciate you guys calling in and talking with the Iron Bowl and some of these college football scenarios coming up within these next 2 weeks. So when you call in today, I want to get your score prediction between Alabama and Auburn. I know it's early, but this is what we do. We're talking about the Iron Bowl. And then I also want to get your take on Michigan and Ohio State, even if you have a score prediction in that game. I think when you look to Michigan and Ohio State, and I'll get my 859 in just a second, I think when you looked at that game, everything revolves around Michigan. Michigan has done a really good job in a strange way of keeping the spotlight on the Wolverines. And it's probably not for the best reasons, but anytime your coach is on the sidelines, these guys are now playing for Coach Harbaugh. He's been saying that this is America's team. The team rallies around that type of stuff. The game is at the big house. It seems like Michigan is a team where things are just going their way. Same thing with Ohio State. And I think that Ohio State presents a lot of challenges because of the weapons that they have, specifically on the outside. Marvin Harrison Jr., some of their wide receivers, Kyle McCord has been spinning the ball around. Michigan is a team that can run the football. J.J. McCarthy's been doing a pretty good job. But Michigan wants to run the football, and They want this game, and the winner of this game, as we know, probably punches their ticket to the playoffs because the teams in the Big Ten West, I mean, they're just not, to the caliber of the Big Ten East. So I want to get your take on that particular matchup taking place. With that said, we go to 859, and let's start it right now. Hey, thanks for being patient. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson, who I'm on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Oh, it's Jack from Lexington, man. It's been a while since I've called in and talked to you, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate you calling in, man. I hope you're having a fantastic Tuesday. And, there's plenty to dive into. But, the Iron Bowl is finally here. You got Michigan taking on Ohio State. You got Washington taking on Washington State. You have Oregon taking on Oregon State. So it's a rivalry week. So with that said, man, take it away.
All right, man. Score prediction, Auburn, Bama. Bama is going to do 35. Auburn will put up 10. I think Auburn's going to come out hot. They're going to have a chip on their shoulder from last week. Freeze to have them motivated.
Mm-hmm.
And call a spade. Hugh Freeze is a hell of a football coach. People might judge him for personal stuff or any of that kind of crap, but Saban has respect for him, and if Nick's got respect for him, then the guy's legit.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll have them ready to play. Now, they don't have the caliber weapons that Bama does. The country knows that. It's all about Bama's mindset going into it, not looking at it that way, but treating them like they are the best team we're going to play, because guess what? This week they are.
Mm-hmm.
So to another point about what your last caller said, which I thought was great, tell me, dude, you kind of hit it too, that week 2 loss to Texas, I feel like, and I'm not looking ahead, but even for this Auburn game, even for the Chattanooga game, Tennessee, LSU, blah, 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 Georgia, it doesn't matter. Because this team has been playing where a loss is you're dead, I feel like that has made this Alabama team so dangerous.
Yes.
Just because of that. And that's why I have such confidence. Everybody I work with, man, they're all Georgia fans, which is weird, but because I live up here in Kentucky, but they love Georgia, and that's cool, whatever.
Sure.
But I feel like that is the kryptonite we have against Georgia. The talent level is equal. The teams are identical when it comes to how they're run because of Kirby and Saban. So going into it, Bama has this we win or we die mentality, and that's the same thing for the Auburn this week, and that makes us more dangerous, and that's why I feel like it's easily going to be 35-10. They might get 13 in there, but I feel like our defense is going to show out. They'll hit us with hot passes over the middle and make our linebackers earn it, but it's not going to hold up. It won't hold up for 4 quarters. And I feel like with our mindset, we're going to play a 4-quarter game. So I'm excited about it, man.
And I think you bring up I love the point about the win or die mentality. I like that mantra because it really is that. And Malachi Moore said that a couple weeks ago, is that the fact that they know that every single game is an elimination game, which it is. And with that said as well, and I brought this up yesterday on my show, I said, look, and this has nothing to do with Jordan Travis or, because we're all praying for the kid. This is not about like the injury. It's just the fact that they were losing. Florida State was losing 13-0 to North Alabama. And I think you see even Vegas reflecting, some of that with their latest odds, right? I mean, now they're at, plus 3,300 or whatever because of the fact that they don't have their quarterback. Same thing would be for anybody. If Georgia didn't have Carson Beck and Michigan didn't have Blake Corum at running back, or Ohio State didn't have Marvin Harrison Jr., or Bama didn't have Jalen Milroe, whatever, like, it's unfortunate, but this is the world that we live in. But I'm saying, and I say this again, I just think that Alabama would certainly be under the microscope and is under the microscope. If they were trailing to Chattanooga 13-0, ESPN would have a 24-hour stream about why that happened. And they would bring in all their experts and Pat McAfee's show all Thursday would just be about that. And he'd be asking Saban about the life lessons and all this stuff, right? That, kind of goes along with it. And that's why I say going into this Iron Bowl, it's so pivotal that Alabama does this. Clearly win, but also plays a complete game, because every single thing that Alabama does, if this game is tied, right? If this game is tied at halftime, it's almost kind of goes against, like, it's unfortunate for Alabama, because this is going to be very challenging for Alabama, regardless of what happened against my alma mater, New Mexico State, right? Like, if this game, because of the rivalry game, if it goes in 10-10, right? They're going to be grilled for that. Right? They were tied with Auburn 10-10, or they were leading Auburn 17-10 in the third quarter because of what happened last week. Now, like you said, Hugh Freeze is a hell of a coach, and Coach Saban knows this. Think about this. The only other coach, I think, to best Coach Saban a couple times is Gus Malzahn, and Hugh Freeze has beat Coach Saban. Right. They played 5 times, and Gus Malzahn has beat him twice. That's crazy. Yep. So, I mean, look, there's a recipe, like just like Hugh Freeze has, he has an issue with the New Mexico State quarterback. He had trouble with him last year when he wasn't at Auburn. Sometimes it's just tough to play, to game plan for certain guys. Hugh Freeze has some sort of a recipe. He's going to play Nick Saban well regardless.
Correct. I agree, man. It's part of that. It goes back to the Bama fatigue. On the other side of that, there's also a standard that Bama has created in college football.
Yes.
And any time Bama does not meet that standard, it's, put aside the dynasty's dead talk. It comes to, well, what do you mean they were tied with Chattanooga at halftime?
Yep.
Oh, there must be something going wrong there. And so that's the level of greatness, though, man. That's pretty awesome in our time that we've gotten to witness that and are still witnessing it.
Mm-hmm. So, but you bring up that's another great point, though, is like that standard, because that's not the standard at Florida State, right? And they're not going to be held to that. They're going to be like, well, Florida State managed to be able to come back and piece things together, and we're able to win 58-13. Like that was this, they're able to come back, whereas Alabama, that wasn't acceptable. Anyways,
it helped.
Go ahead, Jack.
No, I'm sorry, brother. I was just saying it helps some schools, but not ours, not with the standard we've created.
100%. Let me get your take on this Ohio State and Michigan game taking place. I mean, so many big implications on this game. You like the Wolverines? You like Ohio State? What's your take on that game?
Kyle, to be honest with you, I'm not really sure how I feel about it. I know Michigan is, run or live and die by the run, which, in you can do that all day. Down here, it's funny, in the Southeastern Conference, most teams literally have a defensive package built to stop the run. So I find that funny. It's hard for me to pick who's going to win. Because it's at home, I feel like Michigan, my gut tells me, has the advantage. If Ohio State can shut their run down, Ohio State's winning. I mean, I don't care who comes to play. If Ohio State stops the run, it's a done day. I feel like the Big Ten, and I'm sure there's people listening or will listen to this, the Big Ten's a joke outside of 2 teams, Michigan and Ohio State. So the fact that both of them are 2 and 3 in the playoff rankings, to me, is a joke. Whoever loses should be out of the top 5. I hope that's the case, but with this committee, it's crazy. I'm going to say Michigan's going to pull it out. I'm not going to waste your time and give you a score just because it's at home. But I hate Jim Harbaugh, so I hope Ohio State wins.
Yeah.
I should have said that. I don't hate anybody. I'm just not a fan. But
no, but I get
anyway,
I get what you're saying. It's like, because as you guys know, like, I'm a 49er fan, and when Jim Harbaugh was the 49ers, I mean, he was rolling. But now that he's went to Michigan, he's always been like an awkward dude. Like he only gets like his khakis from Walmart and kind of all the recruiting weird stuff and the things that he says and this and that. But like, lately, he has just completely been the villain of college football. And now with all this going on, and that's why I'm saying I think Michigan, being that game is at the Big House, they just have so much to play for, especially let's do it for Harbaugh. And, I don't know, whatever. But anyways, Jack, I appreciate you calling in, man.
Hey, Kyle, can I say one more thing and I'll leave you alone? I'm sure there's people waiting, but I wanted to drop something on you as something to stir around in your thoughts. And I'm not trying to delve back into where Bama's ranked 8th in this committee and all that, but hear me out and then I'll just hang up. Because I've been wanting to call into you for the last couple of days to pick your brain on this. All right, so next year starts the 12 playoff, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the last year of the 4-team playoff. We have one representative from the SEC, one lone guy in there, the AD from Kentucky.
Yep.
If Alabama, and you can bring this up in another thing, I'm just wanting to plant this seed in your mind. If Alabama beats Georgia in the SEC championship, tell me this is not designed by this Pac-12 banner-waving committee to keep both Alabama and Georgia out of this playoff. They would love it. They'd love it. Because next year, when you open this format up to 12 teams, there's going to be 5 SEC teams every year in this 12 playoff, dude. Come on. I know you've thought about this, and I'll hang up on that note. I love your show, man. Keep it organic. You're doing great, and I appreciate all the people behind me letting me blow a bunch of hot air. All right, man. Take care.
All right, man. Take it easy, Jack. A couple things. So, this particular season, the Kentucky athletic director who sits on the board had the opportunity to see both Georgia and Alabama head to head. And I said this before, if it wasn't for Kool-Aid's muffed punt, Alabama would have beat Kentucky 70-0, whatever. So Georgia was able to take care of Kentucky and handedly. And then Kentucky went on that tough back end stretch and, Alabama kind of did whatever they did. So his feedback to the committee, I'm really curious in, because he saw them both, like front row seat, none of this, like I'm just representing the SEC. No, like Kentucky got drubbed by the Bulldogs and the Crimson Tide. Next year, you're going to have 12 teams make the playoff. And you got to, like, when you look to the 12 teams collectively, I mean, you could probably have 4 or 5 teams, vying. That's what we're going to be talking about next year, right? Headlines before the headlines. Will 5 teams from the SEC make the field of 12? And you have the Pac-12 right now. It just seems like the Pac-12 and the Big Ten, and we talked about this many times, they have almost like a favoritism in a sense. Like people just keep harping on the Pac-12, and I don't know if it's because they feel sorry for them because their conference is breaking up, or kind of the hype that Colorado generated for the entire conference at the beginning of the season. I don't know. We've never talked about the Pac-12. With that said, I mean Washington's certainly balling out. I was listening to some ESPN, college football reps talking about the fact that they feel that Washington could jump up to the number 4 spot. Kirk Herbstreit was raving about Washington. Oregon is a team that is super high. I mean, you see that Vegas even has them higher than Washington. Bo Nix favored to just walk away with the Heisman Trophy. Oregon is a team that is number 1 in scoring offense. They're up there with scoring defense. We've looked at their resume before, and they're just absolutely rolling. And the Pac-12 has so much headlines this year compared to the years past. And then you have the Big Ten team sitting at 2 and 3. We got a super chat coming in. This game scares the hell out of me. Every year that we go down there, Auburn's QB play is terrible. 100% agree. We make them look like a Heisman candidate. Yes. Bo Nix, it was crazy. This is exactly right. I mean, when you look to this game, and that's why I'm saying them losing to New Mexico State was the worst thing that could have happened, because now the expectations to go to play in Jordan-Hare against Auburn, a Hugh Freeze-led Auburn team, are to win by like 70 points. They're going to be like, well, New Mexico State won 31-10. Honestly, what's going to happen, because New Mexico State, people don't know that New Mexico State has won 9 games this season, right? They think New Mexico State, that when I went there, they didn't even win a game, right? One year, they didn't even have a season. That's the team that is in the people's mind of New Mexico State. This isn't that New Mexico State this year. They're good. They have a really good coach. But now Alabama has to, in the minds of people, they're going to be like, well, New Mexico State beat Auburn 31-10 at Jordan-Hare. Why couldn't Alabama do the same thing? This game is probably going to be tighter than that game, which is crazy, but that's how this game is. And it's going to only affect Alabama. That's why Alabama just has to play 4 quarters of play, stay healthy, beat these guys, and get to that next game against Georgia. And then everything will be settled against Georgia, but Alabama is going to be held at the frying pan if this game is 31-24 or, 24-17 or whatever. Like, this game is really going to impact Alabama probably in a negative way, no matter the outcome, unless Alabama wins like 72-0. Other than that, it's not going to bode well for Alabama because of that game against New Mexico State. Why couldn't Alabama win by 21 points? Why couldn't they do it? Right? Appreciate the super chat. No, I get it, man. I mean, every single year you go down there and it's crazy. Let's see. We go back to the phone lines, and we got Mike calling in from Kentucky. No, Kentucky. Mike from Austin. Mike, before you started calling, man, I had Mike from Kentucky, who is like a regular caller, but now you are the Mike from Austin, so I appreciate the intro. Mike from Austin, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Yes, there's a big difference between Austin and Kentucky. It's like one side to the other, to be honest with you. But either way, I appreciate you letting me be part of the show. Hey, man, just to remind people, 2 years ago, Alabama was kind of in the same situation where they went to Auburn. I think that, and that was the 4 overtime Bryce Young game 2 years ago. And I think Auburn was in the same situation. They were like 5-6 or 6-5, somewhere there. It was Brian Harsin's first year. They were a struggling team, and Alabama almost lost that game. If not for the heroics of Bryce Young, and then Auburn's running back Tank, whatever his name is, that he went out of bounds instead of letting the clock run out. If not for that one bad call and that one bad play, Alabama could have lost. So that's an example of what could happen during the Auburn game. And like I mentioned yesterday, just the wild, most, craziest mayhem has played out there, from the kick 6 play to all these comebacks. I remember one time Alabama was winning 24-0, and that game came down. I think Bama lost it. So it's, so anything could play out. So Alabama definitely has to be ready, and which I think they will be, Kyle. And in this, definitely, Alabama can be 11-0, and Auburn can be 0-11, and I'm still not taking it for granted just because I know the history of what can play out in that game.
Yeah, I mean, no matter. That's why I just said it. I mean, and I was Tank Bigsby. This game is weird every single time. I mean, it's especially when it's over. Though it's stranger when the game is at Jordan Hare. I mean, when it's at Bryant Denny, it still has a little bit of weirdness, but down there it's way weirder. By the way, you guys saw that my credentials were denied, so I'll be watching the game here from Tuscaloosa. But the good news is they got I got approved to go to the SEC title game, so that's strange. Mike, let's switch gears just for a second. Ohio State, Michigan play. I know you've been riding on Michigan, for a long time, but I kind of think that Michigan's going to beat Ohio State. It seems like, things keep going well for Michigan. You got the slap on the wrist with the 3-game suspension. Even if Harbaugh doesn't coach, the rest of the season, whatever. I mean, this team is now playing for Coach Harbaugh. What's your take on Michigan, Ohio State this weekend? Who you picking?
I think Ohio State's going to beat them. I think most people are picking Michigan, but I think Ohio State's going to beat them. And there's 3 or 4 reasons why. One reason why is because Michigan simply can't cheat anymore. They got caught cheating, which they did cheat, and they are cheaters. So they got caught cheating. Now they can't cheat anymore. And you look, ever since that scandal came down, Michigan really hasn't been blowing people out of the water these last couple of games. Like, I believe they barely beat Maryland last week. And there's a revenge factor going on. Ohio State is, they lost the last couple of years to them, probably because Michigan cheated, but they lost the last couple of years to them. And I think there's a revenge factor going on. I do think Ohio State has not yet played their best game. And when they do put one together, and in my opinion, they're one of the best teams in the country. I'm definitely not a Buckeye fan by any stretch of the imagination, but when they play their best game, they're one of the best teams in the country. And Michigan, man, their hardest game so far has been Rutgers, man. Kyle, in my opinion, Michigan is a bunch of posers, man. They're not only cheaters, they're posers. And I do believe that this weekend they're going to get exposed by Ohio State. I have no dog in the fight. But whoever loses, they need to fall out. They need to fall below Alabama. That's my opinion. That's my only worry is, whoever the loser is, they're still going to be ahead of Alabama. But anyway, I am taking Ohio State in that game, though.
Lisa Tedford is saying, I think this year will be better for Bama. We're talking too much about the voodoo weirdness. We need to show we have faith in our coaches and team. Roll Tide. Let's go get them. So, on that note, I was thinking about this, Mike. So yesterday, Tommy Rees is up for the Broyles Award. The Broyles Award goes to the most outstanding assistant coach in the country. Some big time coaches to win the award, from Alabama. I think Steve Sarkisian won it. Anyways, I was thinking Tommy Rees has been nominated, but really, why wasn't Kevin Steele? Because Alabama's offense, I think the story of it and where they're going, and I still don't think Alabama's offense is where it could be or where it's really going. I think it's only going to get better, but the defense has really been the backbone of this team. Kevin Steele came in, because the defense was a mess, right? You look at what the defense allowed last year. Alabama had 2 games where they allowed what, in the 40s? This year's defense has been great. And I think it's because of Kevin Steele. So I know it kind of segued away from that, but Lisa's comment just kind of made me think about Kevin Steele. I was like, that's amazing for Tommy Rees, young man, 31 years old. The coaches believe in him. Maybe they're giving him, some confidence. And what he's done with the offense has been, he is improved. But the Broyles Award, I don't know. Kevin Steele might be a better candidate, in my opinion. Anyways, Mike, any final take, man, before I move to my next caller?
Well, yeah, I think Tommy Rees has done a good job. He was thrown into the fire. They had to figure out who their quarterback was. The Texas game came on early. Tommy Rees is a young guy, but he has to, if Nick Saban's going to hire him, Nick Saban had to see something good in the guy. Tommy Rees has done a good job, in my opinion. Kevin Steele's done an outstanding job. But one thing real quick, Kyle, I'll remind people that what kind of follow-up on your last caller said, I think the committee is under pressure to deliver the highest market TV teams, because you look at what college football is nowadays. Mm-hmm. It's money, it's big money, NIL, but bigger money is this TV money. These billion-dollar packages they sign with ESPN and CBS and all these other stations. Well, these TV stations, these executives, they want big marquee games. They want a Michigan versus Washington game, much more than they would have a Ole Miss versus New Mexico State game. Mm-hmm. Believe me, they want big market, big TV games. And you got to realize, as far as population, there's more people in Metro Seattle than there is in the entire state of Alabama. So it's a population thing. It's a money game. And absolutely, they're driven to put these big marquee, big market teams together, and that's why you see all the love for the Pac-10. That's why you see all the love for the Big Ten posers. But they're under pressure to do that, absolutely. But I just hope they're fair. And from this point, there's the championship games are here, the rivalry games are here. Mm-hmm. There's going to be fallout. And like Florida State, it's already done. They're going to have to play Louisville in the championship game. I think Louisville's a number 10 team, and Florida State's got to play at Florida. Mm-hmm. Just an example. So there's going to be some fallout. But all right, Kyle, thanks for taking my call, man. You take care. Have a great day.
All right, man. Take it easy. All right. That was Mike in Austin. Mike in Kentucky, if you're watching, man. Still hope you're doing well, man. Hope you have a good Thanksgiving. All right, 404, let's do it. All right, thanks for being patient. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who I'm on the line with and where you calling in from?
Morning, Kyle. This is Al. Behind enemy lines in Georgia.
Hey, what's up?
How you doing, brother?
What's up, Al? I appreciate you, man. Thank you very much for joining us on this fine Tuesday. It's November 21st. We're talking Alabama versus Auburn. Of course, all the other trending topics right here. And, man, I've been looking at, just the transfer portal names that have started to been coming out. It's amazing. That's why I'm saying to everybody out there, the recruiting has changed. Like, yeah, we followed the 4 and the 5 stars, but nobody knows who's going into the portal. And now teams are just going in there and rebuilding their team, rebuilding their specific needs. I mean, it's much more impactful than the recruiting. You still have to do it. And think about how challenging that is, from an organizational standpoint. You got to get the younger guys in, tell them, just wait, you're going to play one, like, eventually, but the transfers are coming into play right now. So I was just kind of thinking about that as you kind of just cruise through the trending headlines. But anyways, welcome to the show. Appreciate it. And really good to catch up with you today.
Always, brother. Always a pleasure, man. This whole transfer portal thing can be somewhat precarious because just like I was commenting in the chat here, this team has a rare chemistry that I haven't seen in Alabama. On the field chemistry and murderous murder ball leadership. I mean, that true dog mentality with those guys like Deontay and Book and those guys, man, they want to mash your face and hold guys accountable on the field because they've gone through so much. They survived so much. The players believe in the on-field leadership. And more importantly, there's chemistry on the staff. I mean, the cohesiveness that we are seeing with Kevin Steele, and don't let's forget Charlie Strong behind the scenes. Game planning, on-field adjustments, Coach Fowler. This team is rare. I mean, I've been following Alabama football, since the 60s. I coached a long time since. And I see that being a huge factor in this game, but also in the transfer portal. And I say that because you can ruin a team chemistry by bringing guys in, just like you were saying. And so I think because of the leadership in play, Bear Bryant used to say all the time, we got great seniors on our team. In other words, he has a mature team. When he's saying that, you're going to get beat. Okay? So that's my take on that. But one thing I want to digress a little bit. Where's Uncle Charles when AJ's on the phone? What do you mean, Uncle Charles?
No.
For AJ.
Yeah, maybe in the off season we'll do some collar versus collar. We could pair them up. You know what I'm saying? We have like AJ from New York versus man. Uncle Charles. We could do a couple like college football sound offs and just have the fans go, and I'll just be the moderator. And I think that could be pretty right. That could be pretty entertaining. I could wear this, Yeah, funny little blazer, and we'll get it going.
You know how many likes you gonna have with that? Because this day I don't have a clue, man. I mean, I saw some stats last week that even at the next level on Sundays, probably somewhere about 10% of the pass drops, guys are going to their second and third reads. So most of the guys, they're scheming plays, they're featuring guys, they're trying to play the matchups to get a guy open. So you ain't looking for two. You're trying to get the guy open. So AJ's talking about Milroe doesn't know how to read. Milroe's execute the game plan, but I digress. That's not what the show is about. He's an idiot, but I love him on the show because he gets people fired up like me. And I'll be getting out of character and start talking to Matt. Okay. But about the Michigan game, Kyle, close from the call. I don't think Michigan is built in a way, all things equal, to beat an Ohio State team. They match up because Ohio State's not going to let Michigan run the ball 32 times straight. It ain't going to happen. And Michigan hasn't shown a propensity to stretch the defense vertically, to take the top off. So which means they're playing in a compressed field. So the wild card factor for them to win the game is McCarthy. Can he make some plays with his feet? That kind of thing, and that's and on the converse of that is quarterback play for Ohio State. Can he hold up under the pressure of playing in the big house? So I personally, if Ryan Day don't pull a Ryan Day and call a good game and Ohio State hold up the ball, they win in a close.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I mean, that game is all eyes are going to be on that kickoff at the big house, and things are going. This is what I'm really curious about, Al. And we're on with Al from Georgia, by way of Tuscaloosa. Is where
Yep.
the loser
Yep.
of where the loser of that game is put in the next playoff rankings. That's going to tell us so much,
Wow.
right? Because, like Mike from Austin was saying, you lose and you're out, right? I don't know if that's necessarily going to be the case. I mean, these guys are 2-3. And the reason I'm scared about that is because you have some of these games where these top 8 are playing each other, right? And where are those teams going to go? The Big 12, the Big 10 committee has the AD from Michigan on the seating committee. Where would Michigan go? Where would Ohio State go? And with those Pac-12 teams that everybody loves in that committee room, when Oregon and Washington play, let's say Washington loses, where is Washington going to go? And are they going to be another team that kind of boxes out Alabama? So I'm curious about that. And that's going to tell us a lot about the final rankings, in my opinion. Of course, I'm in that group that if Alabama is able to take care of Auburn and take care of Georgia, that they're in regardless of what is happening, because they're going to take the SEC champ. But I think we learn a lot based on where the loser is ranked in that game.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you put a good indicator up with the odds of the national championship game, which I thought was very interesting. It looks like, based on that stat, if Bama can, first of all, take care of Auburn this weekend, which I know we're going to do, and then deal with Georgia, they're 700 plus 700. Okay? All right. So that puts them ahead of Washington, which is 1,200, which is, to me, based on that data, it looks like everybody knows Bama's one of the best 4-5 teams, and Washington is not.
Yeah.
So if Washington loses and Bama wins, hey, I'm going to tell you, it's going to be hard to keep us out of there, okay? Because right there, with that stat is telling me if we're in, we got a shot at winning it all. We're hot. Everybody knows that. Urban Meyer from everybody, all the prognosticators know that. But your callers have nailed it. There's some Bama hate out there. They're trying to keep us out. I say keep us out this year, and you'll piss us and Georgia off, and you'll have to deal with both of us next year. Okay, how about that? Okay, so keep us out. Don't keep us out. We'll win it. The SEC will win it for the next 3 or 4 years, and you can't do nothing about it. You can't stop it. We'll do the Michigan on you. We'll run it 32 times straight, and you can't stop it.
You know what? Okay. So if Jarvis is inside the comment box, or anybody else that could help this, I need help on this. Is there a website that projects future or current odds? So, for example, like, is there anywhere that has odds, like if Alabama and Texas played right now, like almost like future odds, and who would have the edge? Because I think I've seen it maybe on the Action Sports Network. Haven't been able to find it. And the reason I ask this is because look at Alabama right now, plus 700 to win the title, and look at Texas right now, plus 1,400. Like, that tells you right now, and this is from Vegas, like if these two teams were to play, whether it was in Austin or back in Tuscaloosa or neutral site, I think Alabama is a favorite again in each of those 3 settings. Same thing with Alabama versus, I guess, Oregon. That would be a pick 'em against Washington. Looks like it favors Bama. I'm just kind of going off, the overall odds. So I'm kind of curious in that, because I think that is a major telling stat with Alabama. And the reason I say that is because last season, once the season was completed, Coach Saban started talking about that. He said we would be a favorite against all these teams that were in the playoffs. I think he said a stat like that. And now the numbers are right there in front of you. These are the best teams. I would love, this would be a fine playoff, right? I mean, these are the best 4 teams, right?
That would be the playoff. If you look at that right there, that is it right there. Those 4 teams, right there, are playing the best football of anybody in the country. Say what you will about Washington. They got a lot of window dress and they chunking it all over the field. But nobody's hit them in the chops in 4 quarters like either 4 of these teams. Nobody. 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 One other thing here about the Auburn-Alabama game. Okay, let's just say this. I'm gonna say it. I've been on the plains for the games. I've been down there and been in that environment. And this team, I'm just telling you, this team is a rare breed. I mean, I don't watch a lot of Alabama football because they got chemistry. These guys love playing for each other, man. And that, I think that because now they have they have a true leader of the team with J. Mill.
Mm-hmm.
And he's the kind of guy, he's just staying in the moment. He's so locked in that we're going to build that game plan around him, okay? And he's going to lead us. I think he's going to play composed. He's going to take his game to another level. The guys, he's primed and ready because that's what happens to good teams when they start peaking, especially when your leaders start to peak and mature. I've been around coaching a long time. And when you get these guys kind of locked in, and let me throw this at you. If they win this one, that's 4 years in a row of beating Auburn. Okay, so there's a game within a game going on here that's not in Atlanta in 2 weeks. These guys are focused on giving Nick Saban another birthday present, just like they did in October. Okay, so I'm just telling you that he loves them. Man, this is a rare thing. So I think the Bama Nation really should to cherish what we're witnessing happen right before our eyes right now. More so than anything else, more than the big, just enjoy the moment. You know what I mean? And so one thing, I know you got callers. I talked to Cedric a couple weeks ago, and I asked him to tell you hello.
Oh, yeah. All right.
When you see, I don't know if he did or not, but we go way back, man. I mean, way back. He's like that.
You know, I've seen Cedric. I see him all over town. Like, I went to Sam's Club the other day to load up, and he was at Sam's Club. You think about the book that Cedric could write. So if you don't know who Cedric is, he's basically like Saban's right-hand man. He's basically the guy who puts the bottle on the podium. That's what he's kind of known for, but he's so much more than that. I mean, he's played a major part in kind of the organizational process for the Alabama Crimson Tide for so many years. He's probably the guy that Saban trusts the most, honestly. I'm sure that guy has like a non-disclosure or something like that, because the book that he could write would be an instant bestseller. Honestly, like the thing. So let me tell you a story real quick. Okay. So Cedric came in, and he doesn't say, he just comes in. He's super positive. Everybody saw him on the sideline just recently, right? Just kind of pumping things up. So we're in the media room about to listen to Coach Saban. It's like Wednesday night. And it was around this time a couple years ago, because Saban had to get going on Wednesday night for his radio show. So the coach's show is on Thursday, but on Wednesdays during Thanksgiving, they move it to Wednesday night, so Coach Saban can be with his family on Thursday. So he came in, he's like, yo, I got to go on Wednesday. He's like, I'm late to get Coach's meatloaf. And we're like, what? His meatloaf? And like, yeah. And he was like, Saban thinks it's from this restaurant that no longer exists, but he just goes to Blue Plate and gets like a similar meatloaf. And so, because Coach Saban like has never known the difference, because it's just meatloaf, right? So that was like one of the things that he said. So I was just like, man, if he has that, imagine all the other stuff he has. So it was crazy. Al, I appreciate you chopping it up with me. I got to move to the next color, man, but I will catch up with you next time, all right?
Thanks for having me. Thanks for being so
all right, man. All right.
Happy Thanksgiving.
All right, you too, man. All right, take it easy. Yeah. All right, Lila, with the super chat, I appreciate you helping your super chat go. Thank you so much. She says, "Roll mother effing Tide." I appreciate it, Kyle. Say it. Just kidding. People get hurt. No, of course, people get hurt about everything, though. So it's all good. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I'll take my last call of the day. We got a 606. Thanks for being patient. 606, what's up? You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who on the line with him? Where are you calling in from?
Yes. My name's Anthony. I'm calling from Kentucky. How are you doing today?
What's up, Anthony? Thank you so much, man. I appreciate you, man. Speak up just a little bit.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, you that's much better, man. Go ahead. Take it away, man. Welcome to the show.
So I just have a question. So from all the college football playoff rankings that have came out so far, pretty much what they are indicating to us is that the winner of Michigan and Ohio State will get one spot, and then the winner of Washington and Oregon will get a second spot.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at Florida State's schedule, even though they lost their quarterback, you know they're going to be favored against Florida, but they could lose against Louisville. But if they win out, they would get that third spot. So I want to know exactly how it's going to, if it comes down to Bama or Texas, where Texas has the head-to-head win. But if Bama beats Georgia, how do you think that'll play out?
Okay, so I think it works out like this. I think we go back to our board, the playoff board right here. And I think that we look to the fact that how the teams are playing at this current point in time. And I think what it comes down to for the committee is how did these two teams finish down the stretch? And for me, I think Alabama is playing at a much higher level than Texas, and I get it. One of the qualifications is head-to-head. With that said, I think beating a number one Georgia, and look at this resume for Georgia, okay? We're all saying that, Alabama beats Georgia. I don't know if anybody's going to beat Georgia, to be honest. I mean, look at this real quick, okay? And this is going to help me build my points out. So we'll take off the bottom of the screen. So they're 11-game win streak, two-time defending champ, number 5 scoring defense, number 5 scoring offense. Of course, the two-time defending champ, that doesn't mean anything. But, I mean, here are the other facts. I mean, points per game, 40 points per game. Carson Beck playing out of his mind, playing like one of the best quarterbacks in the entire country. Beat number 13, Ole Miss, beat Tennessee, beat Missouri. The number 4 total offense, number 9 total defense. I mean, you see all the stats, right? Plus 225 to win the entire college football title. So what my point is if Alabama is somehow able to get to, to beat this team, and they very well could, I think a late season win on a huge stage in the SEC title game against that Georgia team supersedes their week 2 loss against Texas. That's it. And I think that's what everybody is kind of talking about inside the comment box because Georgia's playing at such a high level. So if there's one game that can redeem Alabama's early season woes against, South Florida, that poor performance against Texas losing that game, it's beating that team right there, 100%. So I think you're right. So Big Ten in, Pac-12 probably in. If it's Oregon or undefeated Washington, probably the case. Florida State, probably out. And then Bama in if they beat this Georgia team. And then I'll tell you what, who should be the 4th team? Georgia. Or, Georgia, a one-loss Georgia team, in my opinion, no matter what's going on with Alabama and Georgia, I think that Georgia is a top 4 team with one loss, 100%. So those are the teams that should make the playoffs. I think Texas, the back end, I just don't think that they're playing at a high enough level to be considered a playoff team. There was a great, win against Alabama. That the season that they put together is amazing, but I think late down the stretch, they just they're not playing like a playoff team.
So, like, say it does come down to Bama or Texas, and Texas is a one-loss Big 12 champion, and they did put Bama in before them. Do you think, like, all hell would break loose because of the head-to-head win, or do you think that they would be able to justify it? Because, like everyone says, if someone beats a team head-to-head, like how Washington beat Oregon earlier this year, or, say if Louisville beat Florida State, then wouldn't that make the case for Louisville to get in the playoffs as a one-loss champion as well?
I think the ACC is pretty much out, to be honest. I mean, if Florida State somehow wins and finishes out, they're going to have a right to say that they deserve to be in. What about this weird scenario, Anthony? What about this, okay? Let's say that, okay, Florida State's out. So you have the Big Ten champ, you have the Pac-12 champ, and then you have Bama. Bama wins the SEC, okay? And then you have Texas that wins the Big 12. What happens if this happens?
Yeah.
What happens if Texas gets in, so that's the 3rd team, and then they take Georgia over Bama because of the head-to-head loss to Texas, and they did it last year when they took TCU into the playoffs, even though they lost the title game. They said their overall resume put them in. And this resume right here that Georgia has is pretty damn good. So, I mean, I could totally see that happening too. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Alabama runs the entire table, beats this team, and is still left out of the playoffs. I don't know if that'll happen, but last year, I mean, I couldn't believe that TCU, a team that lost their championship game, still made the playoffs. How does that even happen? I don't know, Anthony. Those are some good questions, man. But I appreciate you calling in. Call again next time. I'm sure there'd be kind of
where like
finish out, Anthony. What you got, man? Sorry about that.
One more thing I want to say real quick.
Yeah.
I really think that everyone's been doubting Washington all year, but I've watched them play a few times, and like everyone says, when they play Oregon again, Oregon's just going to blow them out. But I kind of think Washington will be the Pac-12 team that gets in, along with Michigan and whoever wins the SEC. And I'm still debating on Florida State or Texas to be that last team, but thank you for having me on the show.
Absolutely, man. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. See ya. All right, Anthony calling in from Kentucky. You know what? Just thinking about it, I mean, there was one year that Bama didn't even make the championship game, the SEC championship game, and they made the playoffs and they won the title. That could be like, you know, basically like the one-loss Michigan team or the one-loss Ohio State team. Imagine how pissed off people will be this year. Bama didn't play in the SEC title, lost a game, and then made the playoffs and then won the whole thing. So, I don't know. Don't bet against Coach Saban in the Crimson Tide. This game is going to be tight, regardless, in my opinion, against the Georgia Bulldogs, regardless, or against, of course, against Georgia, but against Auburn. I don't know. 14 points. I guess, you know, people in the comment box have been saying, you know, it's going to be a landslide. I got my boy Toby text me his score prediction for this game. Let me put this up. He said that Alabama. Toby's the biggest fan in Leeds. What's up, Toby? I appreciate you watching. He says Alabama 58, Auburn 13. So people expecting Alabama to roll. Let me know what you think inside the comment box. I appreciate you guys watching today. I hope you have a fantastic Tuesday. This is a great week. We got Thanksgiving. You have, you know, Alabama versus Auburn and Iron Bowl. The weather, a little bit rainy, but overall, it's been beautiful here in the state of Alabama. Thank you for watching. Hit the thumbs up, like, subscribe. Coming to you from beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube.